Planning a trip can be overwhelming, but what if I told you that there's a way to organize your entire itinerary on one interactive map that you can customize to look exactly how you want? Now, I'm sure that you've heard of Google Maps before, but have you ever heard of Google My Maps? And yes, those are two completely different things. In this video, I'll show you how to use Google My Maps to plan your trip like a pro. Whether it's mapping out must-see spots, customizing routes, or sharing plans with friends. Let's dive into why this might be the best travel planning tool for you. Now, judging from the title of this video, you can see that this is part 2 of my video series about Google My Maps. So if you've not seen part 1, I would highly recommend watching that video as well, being that I cover a lot of the Google My Maps basics in a very slow follow-along pace. Though I will cover some of the same topics in this video as I did in the first one, this video's focus is not on the basics. So if you have questions after watching this video, go back and watch part 1 and most of your questions will be answered in that video. But anyways, after making part 1, I received tons of questions in the comments. So the goal of part 2 is to answer as many of those questions as I can, as well as go into some of the more advanced features of this powerful tool. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're in the computer. This is my computer that you're looking at. You're gonna type in Google My Maps. Remember, that's different from Google Maps. So Google My Maps, you're gonna type in. You're gonna click on Google My Maps. On the top left-hand side, you're gonna click Create New Map. Click Create. Now, it's really important that when you are making a map on Google My Maps, that you are logged into the same Google account that you are logged into on your phone. That's gonna be really, really important later when we talk about how to use this on your phone. So you wanna make sure that you're logged into the proper Google account. Now, for today's demonstration, we are going to do a Lake Tahoe weekend trip. I went to Lake Tahoe last summer. It was amazing. So we're gonna make that map. So to title my map, I'm gonna go up in the left-hand corner and I'm going to name my map. And I'm just gonna call it Lake Tahoe weekend trip. Perfect. Click Save. Now my map is titled so I can easily find it. Now on the left-hand side, you're gonna see what's basically your legend. And you're gonna see right off the bat, you're gonna see a layer. It's called Untitled Layer. You can think of layers as groups or categories. And this is going to be how you organize your map. Now there's tons of different ways you can do this. It's really up to you. That's what's so awesome about this tool is you can organize it however you want. I've seen a lot of people organize it in restaurants or accommodations or activities. For me personally, I like to organize my layers in days. Now for my weekend trip, I'm gonna be there for 3 days. So I'm gonna make 3 different layers, one for each day. So I'm gonna go to this untitled layer. I'm gonna change this to day 1. Click Save. I'm gonna add another layer with this button here on the left-hand side, upper left-hand side. I'm gonna click Add Layer. I'm gonna title that Day 2. And then I'm gonna add another layer, and I'm gonna title that Day 3. This is gonna help me organize my activities, restaurants, and accommodations by day. I'm also going to create an accommodation-specific layer, and that'll make more sense later when I show you some of the other features as to why I'm doing that. So I'm gonna make another layer, and I'm going to call it Airbnb. And that's gonna help me later. I have my layers out. I have 4 different layers. You can make up to 10 layers. That's something to keep in mind, especially if you have a longer trip and you're organizing it like myself in days. You can only make up to 10, so just keep that in mind. You're gonna next wanna start adding some points to your map, and there's a few different ways you can do that. But let's start with day 1 or layer 1. And the first way I'm going to add a point is by searching. So day 1, we're gonna head over to Emerald Bay State Park. You can see it pops right up here. I'm just gonna click on it. Now to add this point to my map, all I'm going to do is click this plus sign in the bottom corner here and click Add to Map. Now from here, you can customize what this point looks like. So maybe you want to change the color to, let's just say, orange. I also like to add an icon because at Emerald Bay State Park, we're gonna be doing a hike. So I'm gonna add this little hiking dude as an icon. And now you can see over on my left-hand side, I now have a point for Emerald Bay State Park. Pretty easy to add points, and you can do this for restaurants or really anything that you want. Another way you can do this is just by clicking on a point on the map. So say I want to go over to this Overlook Trail. This looks like a great hike. I'm gonna go ahead and click on that Overlook Trail, and I'm going to add that point to my map. And then you can customize the style just like you did when you searched it, and boom, you're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead here and quickly add all of the rest of day 1's points, or things that we wanna do on day 1. You can see now that I've added the rest of my points for day 1. You can see them over here on the left or auto-populated here on my map. If I hover over one, they highlight up, which is kind of nice. Now, another way to add points to your map is to import a data set or maybe an Excel spreadsheet. So say, for example, you have a spreadsheet with a bunch of different places that you want to visit. Well, you can import that data into your map and the points will automatically populate. To do that, all you're going to do is you're going to go over, say for example, day 2, you're gonna click on this blue import tab, you're gonna click on that, and then you're going to just drag and drop that Excel spreadsheet or whatever you have it on into your map. You're gonna click this check mark, click continue, and then click it again and click finish. And then all of those points you had automatically will pop up on your map as you see just here, which is really, really nice. This is a great way to add a bunch of points to your map all at one time. For me, I like to customize my points. For me, I like to do a color for every day. So for day 1, you can see I did orange. For day 2, we'll keep it as blue, but I'm gonna change this to maybe a kayaker. So I'm gonna search kayak. Boom, there's a kayaker. And being that that's the activity that I'm doing. So that's kind of nice. Change all those over to kayakers. Except this last one. This last one is a hike. So I'm gonna do my hiking dude. Now I have points for 2 days. So you can search for a point, you can click on the map for a point, or you can import a data set. Those are gonna be your 3 best ways to add points to your map. I'm gonna go ahead and do day 3 really quickly as well. Now I've added all my points to my map for my Lake Tahoe trip. A couple other features I wanted to mention really quick that can be helpful. First one, if you are having a hard time seeing your points on the map, remember that you can change the base map by going to the bottom left-hand corner and clicking on the base map. And you can change the look to something that you like a little bit more so you can maybe see your points better. I kind of like this one. I can easily see my points on this one. Also, say you're progressing throughout your trip and you don't get to one of the things you plan to do one day. You can easily move it from layer to layer by just clicking and dragging. So say we don't get to this Glen Alpine Falls hike and we're gonna move it to day 3. You just click and you just click on it and you can drag it to day 3. It's an easy way to move things around. Another thing that I like to really take advantage of is the ability to customize each map point on top of just changing the color and the icon. So say I want to customize Emerald Bay State Park. What's really nice is, say in Emerald Bay State Park, there's a specific photo spot that you want to remember. You can use that inspiration and upload it into the actual map point by adding a photo or a video. So you can go here to this camera icon, click on that, and you can upload a photo. Like this one here from our time at Emerald Bay State Park. And you can see here, this photo now populates underneath this map point, which is kind of cool. Another thing you can do is add notes to your map point. For example, I know this Tahoe Via Ferrata, our Tahoe Via Ferrata tour starts at 8 a.m. and maybe I don't want to forget that. So I can actually add that note to this map point by clicking on the pencil here and clicking edit. And right below here, I can add tour starts at 8 a.m. So that way, when I'm referring back to the map, I have all the information I need about this specific activity. Just click save, and now I know the tour starts at 8 a.m. and I don't forget. You can add in confirmation numbers, booking numbers, anything that you want to remember for that specific activity or restaurant or event, you can add notes for, which is really nice. Let's take a look at day 3 again. You can see all of my green points here. Now, I'm going to need to drive between these destinations, and sometimes it can be hard to know when you're planning a trip what's too much or what's too little for one day. And I'm going to show you one way to kind of help you figure that out. You're going to go up here below the search bar, and you're going to see all these different icons. You're going to click on the one with kind of this split arrow, and when you hover over it, it's going to say Add Directions. This is going to give you turn-by-turn directions between each of your map points. So that way you can determine if you're going to have enough time in a day to get all that stuff in. So I'm going to click Add Directions. Then you're going to see down here on the left-hand side, it's going to add a new layer. Anytime you're doing directions, it's going to add a new layer, which is something to keep in mind. If you have a longer trip, you're not going to be able to add directions because you can only have up to 10 layers, depending on how you organize your layers. Now, I want to drive between all of my green points. So I'm going to plug in my green points, starting with Tahoe Via Ferrata, and you can see my green point automatically populates when I start typing it in, and it says what layer it's under, so day 3. And then we're going to go to the beach, so we're going to go to China Cove next. Again, you can see that auto-populates. It's going to give you turn-by-turn direction. Then after we're done with the beach, I'm going to add a destination, and we're going to go to Truckee Tavern and Grill, which is a restaurant. So I have 3 different stops for day 3. Now, if you click on the 3 dots on the upper right-hand corner of that layer, you're going to be able to see step-by-step directions. And you can automatically see turn-by-turn directions. Now, this isn't really beneficial being that this is on a desktop, right? So the turn-by-turn directions don't really mean much to me. But how I utilize this when planning a trip is the information right at the top here. So you can see between all 3 of these points, it's a 17-mile drive and it would take you 33 minutes. This information is beneficial because it really helps me decide if I'm going to have enough time in the day to do all of those activities. For example, if you were adding a couple more points in, it might be like, say, 4 or 5 hours of driving time, and that's not something you want to do. So you can use this information to help you better plan your days on your trip. Keep in mind that you can also do this for biking directions or walking directions. All you have to do is click on the driving or car icon, and then you can change it to bike or walk or whatever your preference is. One question that I got a lot on my previous video was, can you enter in a bunch of points and can it find the most efficient route for you? And the answer is no. you have to tell it what points you want to go to and the order you want to go to them in. So you can't just plug in a bunch of points and then have it find the most efficient route, which is a bit of a bummer if you don't have an idea of the most efficient way to go about it. But the nice part is, with seeing the map points on the map, you can usually just kind of see with your eye what's going to be the most efficient route and then just go in that order. All right, now let's take it into the phone, being that this is where people had the most questions, as well as this is probably how you're going to actually end up using the map. Okay, I got a lot of questions on my last video on how to find where my map is. You need to go to Google Maps, which hopefully you already have downloaded on your phone. From there, you're going to work your way to the bottom of the page. You're going to see an Explore, You, and a Contribute tab. Now, this is on an iPhone, but it should work exactly the same on any other kind of phone. You're going to click on that You tab. Now, you're going to see three icons kind of near the bottom of your screen. One that says Timeline, one that says Following, one that says Maps. If you don't have one of these icons on your phone, try updating the app. You maybe have an old version or something like that. You're going to go ahead and click on the Maps icon. And then automatically, all of your maps should load into your phone. It automatically syncs over, being that they were saved on a Google Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my Lake Tahoe weekend trip, and you can already see all of my points added into my map. Now, how do we navigate this on our phone? The first thing you're going to want to look to is the map legend. You can get to that by clicking on the map legend on the bottom of your screen, and it's going to pull up all of your layers. You can see I have my Friday, my Saturday, and Sunday with my Airbnb, and there's those driving directions that I plugged in. You can toggle on and off any layers that you want. So say I only want to see Friday's layer or activities, I can toggle off Saturday, Sunday, maybe even the driving directions. I want to maybe leave my Airbnb on there. And then when I go back, you can see all of those other points went away. And the only thing is that is there is my orange Friday icons. Another question I got often was, how can I see the photos and the notes I added to my map points on my desktop on my phone? Well, remember I added that photo to my Emerald Bay map points? Now, to get there, you have to actually go to the map point, meaning you can't go to the legend and click on the Emerald Bay. Nothing will happen in the legend or on these layers. You actually have to click on the map point on your map. So I'm going to go to the Emerald Bay map point, and then you can see my photo popped up right here, which is nice. Another example of this is when I added in notes on the Tahoe Via Ferrata to make sure I didn't miss the start time. So what I can do is I can go to my Tahoe Via Ferrata map point right here, click on it, and you can see right here, I made a note, tour starts at 8 a.m. So that way I can keep track of all my notes. So just remember, when you make notes on a map point or add photos, you have to actually click on the map points and not the point in the legend, if that makes sense. A couple of things I find a little frustrating with the user interface on the phone is that, one, you cannot add customizable points from your phone. That can only be done on the desktop. So, for example, these customizable points that we have here, you cannot add those from your phone, which can be a bit of a bummer. Say, for example, you're walking by a restaurant that you want to go to later. You cannot make one of these customizable points. The only thing you can do is like drop a pin, which you can do on normal Google Maps as well. So say I want to go to Tahoe City, you can click on Tahoe City and save that location, but you cannot create a customizable pin. Number two is, remember the driving directions that we made on the desktop? You can't actually utilize those driving directions on the phone app. The only thing you can do is click on a point. Say, for example, I want to go to the Cave Rock Trailhead hike. I can click on that point and say, give me directions there, but you can't pre-plan your directions like we did on the desktop. This is still really nice, being that I already have all the points that I want to go to planned out, so it's really easy to just click on it and get directions, but it doesn't work quite the same as it does on the desktop, where you can kind of pre-plan your trip. The best use for the directions on the desktop is to just see how long it's going to take you to get to those specific places. Another question I got often is, can I use my map when I'm offline, meaning not on Wi-Fi? A lot of people, when they travel, they don't have access to Wi-Fi or data, or they don't want to use data, so they want to be able to download their map. And the answer is yes, but it's a little tricky. So let me show you how to do it. So you have all of your points obviously plotted out on the map. What you have to do is you have to add a point to the map that is not one that you already have plotted out. So for example, say I click on this Cave Rock Trailhead hike that I've already pre-plotted out. This will not work. You have to add a point different from the points that you have already plotted out. So for example, I'm just going to go ahead and add a point at Tahoe City. It's going to pop up all the information about Tahoe City here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take these icons at the top and you're going to scroll all the way over to the right. And you're going to see this button that says Download Offline Map. Go ahead and click on that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to zoom out to the point where all of your pre-plotted icons are in view, just like so. You can see all of my pre-plotted points are in view. Then at the bottom, you're going to click Download. It's going to take a second to download. And this is going to be how you're going to access your map when you're not on Wi-Fi. And you can change the name here, so it can be like Tahoe, or you can change it to the same name as your map title, so Lake Tahoe Weekend. And click Save. Then what you're going to do to find that map is go back to the home page and you're going to click on your profile in the upper right-hand corner, the picture. Click on that. Then you're going to draw your eye down to this cloud icon with a slash through it. It's going to say Offline Maps. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to see your Lake Tahoe Weekend map. And you can click on it. And then you're going to have access to your My Maps map when you're not in Wi-Fi, which is really, really nice. And last but not least, one of my favorite features, and probably what this app does best, and that is sharing your map with friends or family so you can all be contributing to planning your trip all at one time. You go ahead and click on the legend like I just did, and then you're going to go to the share button here on the left side, upper part of the screen, share. Keep in mind, you can also share this map via desktop, which is actually how I would recommend sharing your map, is on the desktop, but it can be done on the phone as well. Now, I'm not going to say that this is the perfect travel planning tool for everybody, especially being that I think it underperforms when it comes to its user interface on the phone. Which is unfortunate, being that I feel that a majority of people usually only travel with their phone versus a desktop. Improving Google My Maps phone functions would take this travel planning tool to the next level for me. With that said though, Google My Maps is still a very powerful travel planning tool that works great on a desktop. It is great for keeping your thoughts organized in the months and weeks leading into your trip. It is great to make note of recommendations that you have received. It is great for finding restaurants near your accommodations. And probably what it does best is your ability to share your maps with others so you can plan a trip more efficiently with friends, family, or even your spouse. So you can avoid the questions like, what are we doing today again? Anyways, that's it for my series on Google My Maps. Let me know if you liked this video and if I should do more tutorials like this on other travel planning tools. There are a few travel planning tools that I would love to share with you guys, so let me know down in the comments if you would like to see more videos like this. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I'd also recommend checking out the video I made about Google Flights. I teach you all about Google Flights and how to find the cheapest flights possible using that tool. If you enjoyed this one though, please give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We will see you in the next video. Oh yeah.